How do you find the right or perfect cage for your parrot? Someone had asked me to do some more cage reviews. They wanted information on cages. So I decided that I would give you the perfect information so that you can scrutinize any cage you see and see if it's the right one for you. Hey guys, I'm Kaylin, the author of the Parrot Bliss Bomb. Please be sure to get your copy on Amazon.com today, or look for my new book that's almost released on getting to know African grays and Cape parrots. Don't lunge at me. That wasn't nice. That's better. Behave. This is my monster macaw. That's what I lovingly call her. Kailani, she's a Catalina macaw. If you know Kailani, you're used to hanging out. Thanks for hanging out. Let's get started. All right, while some of us contemplate, and I meant sideways because she had her head sideways. It was so cute. Cage. What do you want to look for in a cage? Here's the interesting things. I've seen a lot of different cages. I've seen a lot of the same cages. It's like they get a cage style and then that is what is used for quite some time. Like maybe you have round bowls, or maybe you have the new U-shaped bowls. It becomes all they have, but there's different varieties. And it's kind of cool. There are some cages that I've really liked and some that I haven't liked as well. But some of it is when it comes to a squawky cage is a squawky cage. So what's significant and what do you want to look at? Number one, you want to make sure that your parrot is nice. Number two, just kidding. Number one, you want to make sure that your parrot's head won't fit through the bars in the cage. Why? Because if they can get their head through the bars, they can get stuck, or they can get a wing stuck, and they can greatly injure or kill themselves. Bar spacing is really important. The best thing to do is measure with your fingers to see, or you can use a measuring stick. And you can also look online, but this person was like, online I find all sorts of different information. So I would kind of look at my parrot, sort of measure how wide their head is, and then go up to the bar and make sure that that can't get through the bars. That's the number one most important thing. Hey, be nice. You behave. Yeah. Just because I'm not paying attention to you 100% doesn't mean you have a right to lunge at me. That's better. Number two, the next thing that you want to make sure of is that your cage offers your parrot enough space that they're not going to soil their food and their water. That's just the most important thing. When the cage is really too small for your parrot, what happens is it's really hard to put a perch in and not have the perch land on top of, or being on top of the food so that they just soil the food. I think she felt bad for being naughty, and now I have not her in my video. If you look, right there is Julie in my Indian ringneck. Naughty bird. Okay, so number two I'm saying is make sure that there's that space, because you will find, I don't quite understand. They put perches on, bowls for the food on both sides, which is like good. But then when I want to, if the bowls were all like on halves of the cage, I could put perches on the other half and maybe perches under the food bowl so that they can perch and get to the food bowl. But parrots really like to be up high, and when I put a perch up high, if there's a food bowl underneath, gravity puts their droppings in their food, and then I end up having to change the food or the water more often, and I don't like that. Let's see if we can get Quantum to come over. Come here, Quantum. Hi. You like your cage, huh? Here's Quantum, my Cape parrot. He gets some outside time today. So, do you want to hang out? Will you hang out with me? I'm so feeling unloved. Everyone's abandoning me. Will you hang out with me? Will you hang out with me? Number 3, for me, you know, you want some space for your parrot to really be able to move around in the cage. I've given up. They're all abandoning me. But generally speaking, cages aren't made large enough for a parrot. And I think it's because most of us don't have a house that's like the size we'd really like. And when we do get a house that size, we usually want more space. So I'm not sure that there's like enough space for the cage, and therefore the cages aren't really spacious enough. So thank goodness a lot of people let their parrot out of their cage. You still want some room for your parrot to move around in their cage. Of course, absolutely. Ideally, you want an aviary where your parrot can fly around in the cage. A lot of people, I think, are awesome with their parrots because parrots are awesome and they let them out of their cage at least for a couple hours a day, if not, hopefully more. So the space isn't, you know, like you want to make sure that there's that space because you really want them to be able to move around. A parrot's number 1 form of exercise is flight. If they're not flying, they're like pretty much doing that. They're just kind of hanging out on a perch, immobile, complaining because they want to go back in. They probably think it's breakfast time because it is. And there's one of my Indian ringnuts. So at that point, you know, you kind of see how important it is for them to move around in the cage, even if they're moving from one side to the other to get to their food or something like that. But once you feel like the cage is spacious enough for your parrot, then I would look to make sure you add some place that's going to give your parrot some privacy and a sense of safety. I do that with my bat boxes, and I call it a bat box because I take a nesting box, I bust out one side, and then that one side I put upside down so that like a bat, they have to come in at it from underneath. And then I put a perch across the box. That way they can perch and they have wood on all their sides and above them, so they have a nice secure place. I don't like fabric cozies. I don't really know any YouTubers who have parrots that do. And that's because the fabric cozies fall apart and the strings get caught up in their bodies. It's not a good thing. It's an eventual problem, big problem. Or like you'll see in Kailani's cage, she's just got a big tarp over her cage and it's canvas, so it doesn't fray easily. She can get to it if she wants, but she leaves it intact because she wants to have a nice secure place where she can hang out and hide at night. And sure enough, she goes to the side that has the most canvas, so that she's next to something that's sort of solid, but you know, unmoving. So if the cage allows you so that your parrot's beak doesn't go through, or their head doesn't go through the bars, if your cage is big enough that your parrot isn't perching above their food or water, if your cage is big enough that you can give them a nice, safe, secure place to sleep, then it's all feathers up. And that's what you really want to look for. Honestly, guys, after that, if you can get a cage that's stainless steel, that's better. Cleaning, it's easier, that kind of thing. It's not going to rust. Absolutely. You're paying a lot more. It's worth it. But if you don't have the money, I don't think that's the most important thing. Having a regular cleaning routine is important. But honestly, after that, cages are really sold because they're kind of decorative and they're cute and they appeal to the buyer. And that's not the buyer, this is. So go ahead and get what you like, what you think is cute, what you think is pretty, because it is going to be in your home. Just make sure it hits those markers for your cage, and then you will have the perfect cage for your parrot when they're in, and make sure you let them out. Thank you for joining me in this squawky feathered video in which I got abandoned over and over. That's been happening in the last couple of videos. Oh well, what are you going to do? If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like. If you want to connect more, come join my YouTube community. The link is down below, and I'll put a link into I said something, a video down below. So more info in the description. Catch you in the next Squawky Kailani video.